In this example, we're going to evaluate the integral from 24 to 25 of 1 over the square root of x squared minus 576 dx. In this lesson that we've been working on, the majority of the integrals that we've been evaluating have turned up as some kind of inverse trig function. If you look at the integration table, you'll see that there are no integrals set up this way that result in an inverse trig function. If you actually look at the table and you look at number 81 on the integration table, what you'll find is something that is similar to this. You'll find this integration formula. So this is what we're going to use. We need to do a substitution to set it up this way. So what we're going to do is we're going to let u be equal to x over 24, which means if I solve this for x, I'm going to get that x is 24 times u, which means x squared is going to be 576 u squared. Now, since u is equal to x over 24, when I take the derivative of both sides, I get that du is equal to 1 over 24 dx. And this will also help us with our substitution, because then we would get that dx is equal to 24 du. So we're going to need to use this piece right here and this piece right here for our substitution. So I'm going to have 1 over the square root, and we said that x squared was going to be 576 u squared. And then I have minus 576. And to replace dx, we got that down here as 24 du. So this is going to become 24 du. And now we have to also change our limits of integration so that it's in terms of u. So when I plug in x is 24 right in here to find the value in terms of u, that will be 1. So 24 in terms of u would be 1. And then when I put in 25, my upper limit of integration is going to be 25 over 24. Okay, now we can do a little bit of rearranging to set it up like this right here. This is what we're aiming for. So then we can use the table. So I'm going to factor out a 576 and then take the square root. So I'm going to get 24 over 24 times the square root of u squared minus 1. So when I factor out under the square root 576, I have 576 times u squared minus 1. And then I can take the square root of 576 and it comes out of the 24. Now these divide out and I'm left with 25 over 24 as my upper limit. 1 is my lower limit. 1 over the square root of u squared minus 1 du. So if we look at number 81 in the table for integrals, we have that if we integrate and we have du over the square root of u squared minus a squared, that would be equal to the natural log of u plus the square root of u squared minus a squared, and then plus c. But we don't have to worry about the plus c in this case because we're using a definite integral. So this is what shows up in the integral table, number 81. So our u in this case is just u, and our a in this case is 1. That's 1 is equal to a squared, so a is 1. So now if we do this substitution, we're going to get that our integral is going to be the natural log of u plus the square root of u squared minus 1. And we're going to integrate that over the limits from 1 to 25 over 24. So let's start evaluating this. If I plug in 25 over 24, I'm going to get the natural log 25 over 24 plus the square root of 25 over 24 squared minus 1. And then I'm going to subtract what I get when I plug in 1. So that's going to be 1 plus the square root of 1 squared, which is 1 minus 1. So this is going to be 0. This is going to simplify to 0 this whole thing, because this gives me the natural log of 1, and we know that that's equal to 0. We have 25 over 24 plus, so when I take 25 squared over 24 squared, that's going to give me 625 over 576 minus, and now inside the square root, I'm going to create a common denominator so that I can combine my fractions. So this is going to be 576 over 576. All right, so now I have natural log of 25 over 24 plus the square root. Now when I take 625 and I subtract 576, that's going to give me 49. I'm going to have the square root of 49 over 576. That's going to give me the natural log of 25 over 24 plus, when I take the square root of 49, that's 7. When I take the square root of 576, that's 24. And then when I add that, I get 25 plus 7. That's going to give me 32 over 24. So my final answer is going to be the natural log of 32 over 24.